So vaults 1 through 6 is really easy for you, and you want a tougher challenge. So here we are, we're about to take on vaults number 7 and challenge the compiler. But before we get started, I just want to say shout out to Tyraxe, Bravo, and Noxious. Without them, this video would not be possible. If you guys get the chance, head over to Bravo and Tyraxe's Twitch, give them a follow, and give them the love that they deserve. That being said, if you guys could hit me with a like and a subscribe, it really helps me out and keeps me motivated to keep posting and making new content. Now enough rambling, and let's get into this guide. So before you can even access Vault 7, there is 2 main requirements that you are going to need. The first item is going to be the AI subroutine chip, which you get from each of the 6 vaults. And the second one is going to be a DNA keycard that you could find within said 6 vaults. If you're someone questioning on even how to get into the first 6 vaults, check out my video in the top right corner. That's a guide and a full walkthrough on how to open up all 6 vaults. These other items, these things are not required for Vault 7, but these things will help you out a lot. That being said, they are a good amount of revives, a good chunk of antivirus, a shit ton of ammo, some bubble shields, and a triage that knows how to buff your team. Some other things to note before you get started: throughout the process of getting into Vault 7, you're going to need to get around 11 batteries, a little bit more the better. And you're going to want to get up to security clearance level 4. If you want, you could get up to security clearance level 5, and if you beat the boss, you get access to an extra loot room. So to get started, you're going to want to make your way to one of the DNA network machines on your map. These machines are in multiple different rooms. For this example, I want to be showing you where the machine is in Revival. So once you make it over to one of these machines, like I said, it does not have to be the one in Revival. I'm just showing the one in Revival for an example. One player on your team is going to insert the DNA network key into this machine, and then you are going to be on a 45-second countdown timer. During this 45 seconds, there is going to be waves and waves of enemies. You're just going to sit here and kill them all and wait the 45 seconds. Once the 45 seconds is up, you're going to go over to the machine, and on the left little box, there is going to be a new item that appears. This is going to be called the DNA sequence, and there's going to be a set of 4 letters. These 4 letters are going to be very important in a step coming up, so what you're going to want to do is either write down these 4 letters or just type them in the in-game chat, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those in a bit. So once you have the DNA sequencing that you got from the previous network machine, what you're going to want to do is you're going to need to make your way to a different DNA network machine. Once again, these machines can be found all over the map, but for this example, I'm going to be focusing on the one inside of cargo. What you're going to want to do is when you're looking at the DNA sequence machine, that same box that you got it out of, you're now going to insert it into the same box on this new DNA sequence machine. Now, the moment someone on your team puts in the DNA sequence into the new network machine, you're going to notice a bunch of little smaller terminals around the room with letters on it. So now if you remember those letters that you're supposed to write down earlier, this is where they come in handy. What you're going to do is look at those 4 letters, and you're just going to go to each terminal and activate them in the correct order. Once you have successfully activated the 4 letter terminals, in the very, very middle underneath the computer monitor, the machine is going to open up, and you're going to get a command DNA vial. Once you have the vial, we are now able to move on to the next step. So now for the next step, by now you should already have at least level 4 security clearance. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make your way over to the Tranquility Room. You should know this from a previous step, but this is above and below control. You can go to either of the 2 rooms. Once you make it here and you have your security clearance level 4, you're going to go ahead and take the elevator up that is in the back of the Tranquility Room. And right before you get out of the elevator, you're going to want to go ahead and pop your antivirus. Once you use your antivirus and make your way out of the elevator, you're going to be making your way through these hallways into a vent, and then you're going to find yourself in a room filled with a bunch of enemies. Just to let you guys know in advance, if you have not been in this room, there is going to be a gold shielded commander, so just prepare yourself for that. Once all the enemies are dead, you're going to make your way to the center of this lab right here. So once you get all the enemies killed, just a heads up, this is where some of your batteries are going to come in handy. You're going to need to use your batteries to get into the center lab room. Once inside this room, whoever picked up the command vial is going to insert the command vial into this little machine right here. This machine is going to spin for a second. It's going to reopen up and you're going to be able to grab your access code for the next room. The moment you grab the code, the room is going to turn green. What you're going to want to do is jump over some lasers, and you're going to make your way to this back little room over here where there is going to be some bugs. This is going to be your vault door. Just like the other vaults in the game, you're going to have to insert the rest of your batteries here. I believe this one takes around 6 batteries. Once you get this door open, it is going to be somewhat of a smaller jumping puzzle, nothing too crazy. Things to note in this jumping puzzle room, what you're going to want to do if you don't know the way to go, just follow this little green floating orb through the whole puzzle. And another thing to note, that there is going to be a lot of bugs in this room, so be prepared for that. Congratulations, once you made it past the jumping puzzle, you have officially made it to the boss fight. This is kind of like your little safe room right before the fight. This is going to be your perfect opportunity to stock up ammo, heal, and kind of figure out the game plan for what's going to happen next. Things to note is in the room where there's all these looting containers, there's going to be a button on the wall. When you press a button, it's going to open up an airlock, and that's going to be the entrance to your boss fight. Before we get started with the fight, there is a couple things that you need to know before going into this encounter. There is going to be 4 different symbols in this next room that you are going to have to memorize. Here are the symbols, and here are the callouts for them. The first symbol is going to be ribs. This one's going to be called skull. Then we have star, and last but not least, we have U. So now what you're going to do right before you enter the boss fight is you're going to assign each one of the people on your team a role. For the roles, they're going to be 3 simple ones. We're going to have the left side of the room, the right side of the room, and then we're going to have the person in the middle, which is going to be in charge of clearing out the ads for the most part. Even though the guy in the middle is in charge of clearing out ads, that does not stop the people on the left and the right from shooting the ads. Another thing to note is right before you enter the boss room, you're going to have this little tiny room. This is what we're going to call airlock. This is what we're going to call the safety room. This is where you should throw down some ammo crates and excess ammo on the floor and run back in there if you do need to restock or heal up at any point. That being said, let's go into this fight. So right when you run in, you're going to notice that the boss is going to be standing in the middle. All his main attack is going to be is his green laser, and the other thing he's going to do is going to be summoning these little tiny green balls that are going to chase you around and blow up. This is what they look like. Do not let these balls get close to you because they're going to blow up and they will demolish your whole shield. Now that you know the enemies that you're going to deal with, let's get started on how to actually do the mechanic. You're going to notice now on the left and the right side of the room, there's going to be a bunch of terminals with symbols on. These are going to be the same symbols that I just showed you before. There's going to be exactly 3 of every single symbol in this room at the same time. What you're going to want to do, it does not matter the order, you're just going to want to call out one symbol. So let's just say, for example, skull. You're going to want to activate all 3 skull terminals around the entire room. Once you activate all 3 skull symbols, it is now going to be considered DPS phase. And if you're coming from something like Destiny 2, you know exactly what DPS phase is. The moment you activate the 3rd terminal, there is going to be a box in the very center of the room that is now going to have a green glowing circle around it. We're going to call this little circle the DPS zone. What you're going to want to do is gather in this circle, look at the boss, and you're going to be focusing on the giant green glowing crystal in the center of his chest. Once you deal enough damage to that green crystal, the boss is going to open up and you're able to now step out of the damage circle. When this happens, you're going to want to slowly start backing up with your team towards the airlock and start shooting at the boss in the center of his chest and focusing on the green balls from blowing up you and your team. Once the boss goes back to his normal coffin looking shape, congrats, you have now completed the first phase of the boss fight. All that's left to do is now rinse and repeat and just do the same thing again for another symbol. Just a little thing I thought I'd add in here, on the left and the right side of the room will get frozen. It's as simple as just shooting a green target on the wall to disable the frozen floor for about 30 seconds. Other than that, that is all there is to this boss fight. You just have to activate the 3 terminals, deal the DPS phase, do that around 3 to 4 times, and then congratulations, you've officially killed the compiler. One other thing to note, that the moment you kill the compiler is going to start glowing and he will blow up, which deals a lot of damage, so just don't be near him right when you kill him. Now that the compiler is dead, it's time to get your sweet loot. So what you're going to want to do is head over to the compiler's body. There is a red crafting resource on its body. Once you have looted that, go ahead and head through the back crack in the wall, and then this is your big loot room. Some things you're going to notice in here, there is a ton of gold items in here. plus a new red weapon that has not been seen before. If you happen to have an extra couple batteries and a level 5 security clearance, there is a couple extra rooms that you are able to open for some extra loot. Also, if you go on either side of the loot room, there's going to be an exfil you could call in, which will make an exfil appear in this back room with you, so you don't have to run back through the back side of the map. Other than that, guys, I hope this guide was helpful. Once again, shout out to Tyraxe and Bravo. If this guide was helpful to you at all, once again, please give me a like, give me a subscribe. It does really help me out. It keeps me motivated to make more content for this game. Other than that, I'll see you in Cryo Archive.